Hey, it's Raneem, and for week one's challenge, we were challenged to find a funny poem, analyze it, then mimic it, and justify the mimicked version. I chose the poem I Could Pee on This by Francisco Marciliano, which reads, Her new sweater doesn't smell of me. I could pee on that. She's gone out for the day and left her laptop on the counter. I could pee on that. Her new boyfriend just pushed my head away. I could pee on him. She's ignoring me, ignoring her. I could pee everywhere. She's making up for it by putting me on her lap. I could pee on this. I could pee on this. While researching about the poem, I found out that the poet gives insight into a domestic cat's brain by using anthropomorphism, which means that the speaker is the cat. The cat's mood swings are shown. The poet depicts how cats love attention and are territorial. They mark their territory by peeing. The sentence, I could pee on, is repeated in almost every line of the poem to show that cats pee when they're happy, angry, annoyed, etc. The cat is saying could, which means it did not pee, and it makes it seem like a subtle threat. The poet ends the poem with, I could pee on this, which means the cat still did not pee, and it makes the threat seem empty. The tone of the poem is playful and sarcastic. My creative response to I could pee on this is called They Hate This, and it reads, Her illness is contagious. They hate that. She's gone out for the day and left her brain on the table. They hate that. They told her the way to achieve inner peace is to finish what she started. So she finished a batch of cookies and 2 boxes of pizza. They hate that. Her parents just brushed her illness aside. They hate everything. Most of my sentences are the same length as the poet's. My poem depicts the negativity and stigma surrounding mental illness. However, Marciliano's poem depicts the behavior of a cat. I tried making the poem funny by adding a sarcastic line, which is, They told her the way to achieve inner peace is to finish what she started. So she finished a batch of cookies and 2 boxes of pizza. Thank you for listening. Hey, it's Raneem, and for week 2's challenge, we were challenged to find an emo poem, analyze it, then create a creative response poem to it, and justify the creative response. And so I chose the poem Wounded by Langleaf, and it reads, A bruise is tender, but does not last. It leaves me as I always was, but a wound I take much more to heart, for a scar will always leave its mark. And if you should ask me which you are, my answer is, you are a scar. When researching about this poem, I found out that Langleaf is an international poet and is inspired by real stories. When asked about her writing motivation during an interview, she said, stories about love and misadventures are her inspiration. The theme of Langleaf's poem is pain, betrayal, and hurt, and the mood is melancholic as the speaker talks in a sad, hopeless tone. The poem is a lyrical one, like most of her poetry. In the first stanza, the speaker describes that a bruise hurts, but will eventually fade away. In the second stanza, she describes that a wound will turn into a permanent scar. Scars hurt for a long time, and they also hurt figuratively, because they are a constant reminder of the pain of the wound. Every time the person is reminded of the scar, it's like reopening the same wound. In the third stanza, the speaker says to the person who hurt her, You are a scar, in line 12, which implies this sense of reopening and deeper pain. At the beginning of the poem, the poet is not specific in who causes the hurt, which means that it could refer to more than one person. However, in the third stanza, the poet becomes specific and offers the direct address, you, implying that this person hurt her the most. Interestingly, the title of the poem is in past tense, which suggests that this car is not recent and has been there for a while. My creative response to wounded is called hurt, and it reads, derisive expressions are hurtful, but the pain does not last. People will go back to the way they were. But mocking gestures and dismissive body language hurts heartbreakingly more. But a broken piece of heart will never leave traces behind. And if you ask me which one you choose, my answer will always be, you choose to break hearts. My poem responds not to betrayal, but to the negativity and stigma surrounding mental illness, which is our group theme. In Langleaf's poem, she uses metaphors to symbolize a small betrayal, which is a bruise, and a big betrayal, which is a wound. In my copy change poem, I used facial expressions and body language to show the reader how much of an effect the two actions have on a mentally ill, in fact, any person. For week 3's challenge, we were challenged to find a slam poem, analyze it, create a mimicked version of it, and then justify it. And so I chose the poem If I Should Have a Daughter by Sarah Kay, which reads, if I should have a daughter, instead of mom, she's gonna call me Point B. Because that way, she knows that no matter what happens, at least she can always find her way to me. And I'm going to paint the solar systems on the backs of her hands, so she has to learn the entire universe before she can say, oh, I know that like the back of my hand. And she's going to learn that this life will hit you hard, in the face, wait for you to get back up just so it can kick you in the stomach. But getting the wind knocked out of you is the only way to remind your lungs how much they like the taste of air. There is hurt here that cannot be fixed by band-aids or poetry. So the first time she realizes that Wonder Woman isn't coming, I'll make sure she knows she doesn't have to wear the cape all by herself. Because no matter how wide you stretch your fingers, your hands will always be too small to catch all the pain you want to heal. Believe me, I've tried. And baby, I'll tell her, don't keep your nose up in the air like that. I know that trick. I've done it 1,000,000 times. You're just wailing for smoke so you can follow the trail back to a burning house. So you can find the boy who lost everything in the fire to see if you can save him. Or else find the boy who lit the fire in the first place to see if you can change him. But I know she will anyway, so instead, I'll always keep an extra supply of chocolate and rain boots nearby. Because there is no heartbreak that chocolate can't fix. Well, okay, there's a few heartbreaks that chocolate can't fix, but that's what rain boots are for. Because rain will wash away everything, if you let it. I want her to look at the world through the underside of a glass-bottom boat. To look through a microscope at the galaxies that exist on the pinpoint of a human mind. Because that's the way my mom taught me, that there'll be days like this. There'll be days like this, my mama said. When you open your hands to catch and wind up with only blisters and bruises. When you step out of the phone booth and try to fly, and the very people you want to save are the ones standing on your cape. When your boots will fill with rain, and you'll be up to your knees in disappointment. And those are the very days you have all the more reason to say thank you. While trying to analyze this poem, I found out that Sarah Kay is an education advocate and keynote speaker for education organizers, which is most likely the reason she has the speaker in her free verse poem, If I Should Have a Daughter, advise her daughter to learn and be knowledgeable. The speaker is a mother and she is speaking to her future daughter with a loving, caring, and inspiring tone. The theme is positivity, and she uses literary devices to convey the message. For example, when the poet says, and she's going to learn that life will hit you hard in the face, wait for you to get back up just so it can kick you in the stomach in lines 7 and 8, it's an example of personification. She follows it with something positive. But getting the wind knocked out of you is the only way to remind your lungs how much they like the taste of air, in lines 9 and 10. The message of the poem is to never stop believing in life. My mimicked version is called Saaty, and it reads, I'm going to draw the types of people on the backs of her hands, so she has to learn people before she can say, oh, you're insane. And she's going to learn that society will hit you hard, in the face, wait for you to get back up just so it can kick you in the stomach. But that's how your lungs are reminded how important air is. There is hurt here that cannot be fixed by band-aids or poetry. So the first time she realizes that society isn't what it seems, I'll make sure she knows that she is not alone. Because no matter how negative society is, there will always be people who understand and don't treat you like you're contagious. And baby, I'll tell her, it's okay to be mentally ill. You're still a person. Don't lose hope like that. I've done that a million times. You're just following the trail back to a burning house, so you can find a boy who's just like you, or a girl who doesn't react negatively towards you. But I know she will anyway, so instead, I'll always keep an extra supply of chocolate and positivity nearby, because there is no disappointment and hurt that chocolate can't fix. Well, okay, there's a few disappointments and hurts that chocolate can't fix, but that's what positivity is for, because positivity will make you feel better if you let it in. I want her to look at society through the underside of a glass-bottom boat, to look through a microscope at the galaxies that exist on the pinpoints of a human mind, because that's the way my mom taught me, that there'll be years like this. There'll be years like this, my mama said, when you open your mind to trust and end up with trust issues, when you step out of your house and try to be normal, and society stomps on your wishes and dreams, when positivity runs out, and you'll be numb to everything. And those are the years you have all the more reason to not give up on society. So unlike Sarah Kay's poem, If I Should Have a Daughter, which responds to positivity, my poem responds to the negativity and stigma surrounding mental illness. I have my speaker want her future daughter to know all the types of people so she can stay away from the bad ones. Which is why I wrote, and I'm going to draw the types of people on the backs of her hands. While the message of If I Should Have a Daughter is to never give up on life, the message of my poem is to never give up on society, because it is getting better, even if the progress is very slow. Hopefully, if we increase awareness and opportunities, the mentally ill can lead functionally normal lives one day.